Hi friends, welcome to the NPTEL course Strategy and Technology, a Practical Primer. We are in week 6 with the theme of Structural Analysis and Competitive Strategy. In this lecture, the 30th in this series, we will be discussing niche as core competence. We have considered earlier the strategies of cost leadership and differentiation. We will in this lecture focus on niche as a generic competitive strategy. Niche focuses on a target product group or a target product, a target market cluster or a target market segment. The niche strategy tries to achieve competitive superiority through cost leadership or differentiation. It requires ability developing, keep vanishing over time. They are created by innovation in terms of product technologies or marketing processes. Skill sets and competencies required for a niche strategy in turn require a broad operational base in an industry supported by a sustainable strategic approach. Niche or focus doesn't define an industry, nor does industry determine its niche. It is neither a product strategy nor a marketing strategy. It is in fact a competency than a strategy. Apart from detailing niche as a strategy, this lecture clears some popular misconceptions and establishes some novel and logical foundations of niche strategy. We have seen these three strategies so far: cost leadership, differentiation and niche, of which we have dwelt at length on cost leadership and differentiation. In developing niche strategy or focus strategy, we draw upon both cost leadership and differentiation to different degrees. Cost leadership cannot exist without quality leadership, as we have discussed in an earlier lecture this week. It also cannot exist without time effectiveness. Differentiation must guard against decommoditization. Niche has been a very popular term in strategic parlance. Everybody would like to be a niche player because niche comes with the perception that it is going to be profitable and it is going to be long lasting. Many corporate leaders prefer their firms to be niche players rather than mass players to articulate their premium positioning. And also some leaders do not like competing in the mass market with low wafer thin margins because that calls for a completely different skill set. There is, however, an inadequate appreciation of what constitutes niche and where niche fits in a firm's quest for scale and scope, as much as for revenue and profitability. We will try to clear some popular misconceptions and establish some logical foundations for niche strategy through this lecture. As a concept, this focus strategy concentrates on a narrow market or a product segment, and it seeks to gain competitive superiority over other competitors, either through cost leadership or differentiation, and in some cases both. Typically, a niche player would be more differentiated than a cost leader. Some leaders therefore erroneously think of niche as an easy low volume strategy based on some level of differentiation. But actually it's more complicated and more challenging. We will see that. The physical definition of niche is that of a crevice where one can be safely ensconced. This is the industry definition. This is the dictionary is one of a unique product market segmentation by which a firm can enjoy low competition and high profits. Although a product or service is often seen to lead to a niche position, it is market segmentation that enables premium pricing and dictates the need for niche products and services. You may develop a product which can be positioned in a particular market segment with premium features or better service, but it is important that as a company, the market segment is well defined for the niche product to find its place and play. Overall, niche as a concept is not new. Companies have been there providing niche products. Rolls-Royce in the high-end car segment, Jaguar in the near high-end car segment, Ferrari in the sports car segment are niche products that have been there for decades and continue to be there in a contemporary styling and performance characteristic set. Similarly, in the watch industry, we have Omega, Rolex and Tudor that always were niche products. So niche strategy is as old as industrialization in a way, but it is also as new as the challenge of competitiveness. What is the special feature of niche? What is the special manufacturing products with a high level of sophistication and therefore with a high cost and price premium that only certain segments of the market could accept? There was a pride of ownership that was associated with niche brand. It involved significant product development, marketing, and promotional input. It also came to be interpreted in terms of a differentiated product catering to a very specific, not necessarily narrow segment. Pure acoustics is a niche propagated by Bose. In modern times, however, niche strategy needs to be a much more inclusive concept. It is no longer about conceptualizing and occupying a market slot or offering a product that is fitting that slot. It is much more about competitive strategy because a niche player has to retain the aura as well as the truth of invincibility and sustainability despite the ingress of intense competition. As you may imagine, full line manufacturers can also try to get into niche play. Certain cost leaders also can try to get into a niche or destroy the niche. Therefore, niche is very much a broader competitive strategy beyond offering a particular type of product or particular type of market service. Today, niche is the possession of an ability or a set of abilities that most firms in the industry do not have and only the niche player has. Apple demonstrates what niche as relevant to the competitive and contemporary times is and what it can do for corporate strategy and performance. It combines premium positioning while also serving the broader market. It is a niche that is applicable across segments in a manner of speaking. Apple Inc., led by Steve Jobs, virtually rewrote the book of strategy and the history of consumer electronics with its pioneering products, the iPod, iPhone, and iPad. These products are differentiated with features that multiple niche market segments would appreciate and pay for, but also value competitive as a total package, helping most people become loyal users. The niches that each of the products occupies, therefore, cover almost the entire marketplace, questioning the very definition of niche. The introduction of iPod, iPhone, and iPad generated numerous competitors, yet these products remain the pioneers with an amazing standing. So is Apple's niche defined only in terms of product or in terms of an experience? A niche experience of owning and using an elegant stylistic product with substantial performance substance. It is a experience-based niche that Apple products are providing. The sustainability of Apple products relates to the fact that they ushered in and successfully maintained a whole new and complete user experience that could not be matched by competitor products in totality, despite being superior in parts. Apple products were highly effective products with a distinctive Apple ecosystem that was offered to customers along with the products. There were also attractive ownership options and distinctive retailing formats. However, these products constituted the multiple cores that created the markets. Together, a string of strategic pearls was crafted by Steve Jobs as part of his product strategy. Let us look at these products in a little more detail to understand what niche means. These products, iPod, iPhone, and iPad, represented a unique fusion of state-of-the-art design and manufacturing on one hand, and cutting-edge hardware and software on the other. iPod. Apple iPod provided for the user for the first time a total digital audio-visual experience in the most miniaturized and most elegant form factor, with memory levels unprecedented at the time of introduction in January 2001. 20 years have passed since iPod was introduced. Eventually, iPod emerged as a well-segmented product family of Shuffle, Nano, Classic, and Touch, meeting different user needs. The iPod user experience was heightened by the net-based proprietary iTunes, which provided thousands of tunes to music lovers owning the iPods. Now let's come to iPhone. Apple iPhone, introduced in January 2007, provided for the first time a total convergence experience for the smartphone users, again with the most elegant and user-friendly form factor and vastly superior memory levels with hundreds of applications in its iTunes store. And also it popularized the touch philosophy and practice. The convergence of iPhone created an unmatched audiovisual device experience for its users at that time, even as that device itself reflected premium value. Then came iPad in April 2010. It took the niche revolution forward, focusing on media and gaming applications with ease of portability for home or office and static or dynamic use. iPad brought the computer into the hands of the users with everywhere portability and connectivity for people and businesses on the go. All the three product streams received continuous enhancements from the time each was launched. iPod with touch and enhanced media technology, iPhone with all-round enhancements over multiple generations, and iPad with professional work and superior media capability. In parallel, iMacs and other laptops continued to consolidate their respective niches in Apple product range. But niche products and markets are rarely static. They move, they vanish and redevelop over time. Kind of shifting sand dunes, we may say. Strategy requires a continuous review if one is dedicated to the niche strategy. In the 1980s, heavy-duty vehicles manufactured almost exclusively by Ashok Leyland constituted a niche product group and a niche market for the company. With the enhancements in the freight haulage patterns and also improvements in highway network, together with the entry of new players into the heavy haulage segment, heavy-duty vehicles are no longer a niche marketplace. They have become the mainstream. Therefore, the principle that the niches move, vanish and redevelop over time is relevant. In the 1990s, a shopping mall would have been a niche retailing format, or a multiplex would have been a niche cinematic experience in India. Today, these are so commonplace and with such high competition that they have lost the characteristics of niche. Dual time, multiple time zone or analog digital watches could have been niche watch technologies a few years ago. But watches with much wider features are now offered virtually by all watchmakers and along with that digital watch and health technology. Not so long ago, touch technology in cellular phones was not a commercially practical possibility. Within 5 years, touch technology dominated cellular phones and further extended to notebooks and netbooks. At the time of its launch, 3D viewing was highly niche in terms of cinema or television. But 3D movies and 3D televisions are commonplace today. Such examples are indeed numerous. They are commonplace but not universally accepted. So niche has got its limitation as well. Unless the niche is something which can meet multiple tastes, the sustainability could be a kind of challenge. But it may be rediscovered in terms of augmented reality, virtual reality and mixed reality in times to come. So again, the principle of moving, vanishing and redeveloping over time. Product market innovations underlie niche. These products and markets are verily created by innovations in product technologies or marketing process. For niche to sustain, innovation must be continuous. Otherwise, iMac would not have continued to be the first choice for graphic designers and video makers besides publishing experts. So there are three aspects of niche, particularly in terms of the product market innovation. Fundamentally, it must meet success and it must ensure success over competition. Every successful niche is challenged by follow-on or analog products from competitors. Niche therefore must be ideally placed in terms of hard to imitate technological features. That is one of the characteristics of niche. Second, niche firms must be ahead of the curve. They must always be at the top of the curve or ahead of the curve, constantly defining new user experiences, seeking enhancements in current niche products, and exploring avenues for a new generation of niche products. And time to time, niche should take a new trajectory. Even a series of some point of time face saturation, and that would dictate the need for a breakthrough move to a new niche trajectory. The niche of a 2-in-1 convertible providing for the flexibility of tablet and laptop computers to user was an attempt to create a niche. While this niche got improved over time, a new trajectory for a better niche is now called for. Convertible is no longer the kind of niche which it used to be at the time of launch. Narrow needs breadth. Developing the skill sets and competencies required for a niche strategy requires a broad operational base in an industry. Niche-driven industry operation is typically as follows. There are three aspects to it. One, strategy tends to be exclusive to premium market segments. Therefore, it may provide for robust profitability, but not necessarily huge revenues. That is the first aspect of niche-driven industry operation. As an example, the switch watch industry, especially the handcrafted watch segment, was an example of industrial operation. The niche was in terms of elegance, precision, and quality, and certain possessiveness related to the handcraft approach. However, in terms of scale and scope, the switch watch industry became a marginal player in the 1980s and 1990s relative to the nimbler, more efficient, and more diversified Japanese watchmakers. Only after it integrated new research and manufacturing technologies with its traditional niche of elegance and precision did the Swiss industry become a global force again. So there was a niche of premium watch, but it was supported only by mechanical, machine-made as well as handcrafted watches. But that niche was subject to competition from Japanese, and Swiss became marginal. But today the Swiss industry has regained its niche position of newer research and manufacturing technologies. It also has become a global force. So narrow required breadth in this case. Another example of this is that building of based on niche is challenging. It is possible to build small niches which could be useful in future. In several circumstances, niche emerges as a high-level capability within the pyramid of normal organizational competency hierarchy. Toyota developed Prius, its hybrid car, having an electric motor alongside a gasoline engine to reduce the fuel consumption and optimize the driving condition. It is a result of its ability to have a large and broad-spectrum car manufacturing capability. But also, because of this, Toyota could cede a position for itself in low-emission cars, and hybrid could become a mainstream until completely low-emission cars take over the automobile. And a pure electric car that initially started as a niche has the capability to become a mainstream product. So we have two options: Prius, which would become, because of its hybrid nature, an intermediate niche frame of reference, and an electric car, which also was a niche at some point of time, becoming a mainstream product. Niche becoming mainstream product doesn't happen easily usually. It can happen only when the niche is powered by disruptive innovation, or when the market itself is set for a shakeout due to regulatory mandates, and that's happening in the case of electric vehicles. Let's look at niche in terms of the pyramid of competencies. As I said, we can view niche as a strategy that is a part of differentiation and is sandwiched between broader differentiation and sharper innovation. At the base of the pyramid will be the scale and scope, which will provide the cost advantage. If niche moves down in terms of the volumes, it becomes cost effective. If it moves up on the pyramid towards the apex, it becomes more innovative. So innovative products, niche products, differentiated products, volume products. Niche can be described as a crossover between innovation and differentiation with the added advantage of cost competitiveness. Ability to develop and manufacture a broad range of products, helping the firm to support niche technology financially, and organizational skill to attract talent and deliver the niche are the three pillars of a niche strategy. You can look at Elizabeth Arden, a reputed perfumes and fragrances manufacturer. Even Elizabeth Arden positions designer and premium fragrances on a base of hundreds of finely segmented cosmetics and perfumes for broader markets. Therefore, a niche player will not be only a niche player. Niche is probably an embellishment for the player, unless, like the car examples we have given, they have chosen as their vision, strategy, and business purpose, staying only in niche, and have created such entry barriers that others do not find it appropriate or feasible or even viable to cross over these entry barriers and play in that segment. Because niche requires a lot of managerial bandwidth, lot of leadership attention, and high level of quality integration in their operations. Niche does not define industry, nor does industry determine niche. Yet many strategists fail to view niche and industry in proper perspectives. The following illustrates the right construct to develop niche in a meaningful manner. A full-fledged integrated pharmaceutical player may view an independent drug discovery entity as a niche operation. That is, you can discover, develop, manufacture, and offer the pharmaceuticals in the marketplace. That's the full value chain, and it can be supported by a similar API or bulk drug value chain. But such a pharmaceutical manufacturer may focus just on drug discovery and treat it as a niche operation. This view is based wholly on the very special capabilities required to invent and develop new pharmaceutical products, prove them clinically. On the other hand, a broad-based drug discovery entity may consider a similar drug discovery entity specializing in just one therapeutic area as a niche player. That is, someone has the ability to discover and develop drugs in a broad number of therapeutic areas. That is, however, if some drug discovery entity is specializing only in antibiotics, that could be a niche as viewed by the broad-based drug discovery company. Therefore, it is relative. Which value chains fragment would constitute a niche for which company is a matter of the company's own position and a matter of leadership judgment. Conceptually, therefore, each segment or subsegment of an industrial value chain can be a potential niche segment. Therefore, let us look at the niche dashboard and see what constitutes niche and what doesn't. Is niche dependent on industry? No. Does niche define industry? No. Is niche a product strategy? No. Is niche a marketing strategy? No. But is niche an organizational competency? A definitive yes. That is the characteristic of niche. It is an organizational competency. Not everybody can be a niche player. Not everybody who has got a differentiated product with innovative embellishment can be a niche player. There is something more to it than that, and that is the overall competitive strategy. Analytically, however, a strategy based on value chain fragmentation would qualify more as an optic of industry definition, while one based on competitiveness of specialization would be more reflective of a true niche. Therefore, there is a greater connectivity with product specialization than with value chain segmentation in respect of understanding niche. And as you look at this process, that it is not related to industry or a part of it, but it is more related to a competency, the pathway to defining and executing niche becomes more obvious. Let's look at an integrated pharmaceutical entity. If you non-integrate them or make them less integrated, you can find bits and pieces of the value chain which could qualify as niche segments in their own right. So if a pharmaceutical entity has a value chain that comprises in a simplistic manner R&D, clinicals, formulations, manufacturing, and formulation marketing, you can see that each of these value segment parts have got full-fledged entities which are actually niche companies in the respective zones. Niche companies are in contract R&D, Emery Pharma. It does nothing except contract R&D. There is a company called LabCorp which does drug development, and it's a clinical research entity. It does nothing other than clinical trials for original molecules. Then there is a contract manufacturing entity called Lonza, which does nothing other than formulations marketing. It doesn't do API, it doesn't sell its products in the open market space. There is a company called Ashfield, which has the business purpose of doing contract sales. It does marketing of formulations. So this value chain of formulations from R&D to marketing is comprising also of 4 niche segments which can be taken up by individual companies as their niche generic strategies. To be a niche player, therefore, one must look beyond industry or value chain definitions and focus more on the fundamentals of science, technology, and management that make a product or service truly unassailable. Why is this statement valid? Because each of these companies has specialized the science, technology, and management relating to that particular niche operation. And that is the distinguishing feature of that company. Therefore, they have become successful niche companies. Let us look at value chain development and how it could contribute to development of niche companies. Even within a well-established value chain, companies can keep discovering new niches. It does not matter whether a firm is operating all through the value chain or only in parts of the value chain. A manufacturer of value-added steel products is likely to be a successful niche player. That is, the manufacturer can take commodity steel and make it a value-added product, and therefore a niche player emerges from this strategy. But a broad-based steel producer may also be a successful niche player with customization. If Prakash Pipes and Tubes or somebody else does this, buying steel from Tata Steel or Jindal Steel, why can't Tata Steel or Jindal Steel do the same thing? Therefore, niche is susceptible to entry by mainstream players. Industrial biotechnology, that is classic fermentation, is commoditized. However, manufacture of enzymes through classic biotechnology for green chemistry, that is eliminating all solvents, eliminating all hazardous chemistry, ensuring safe operations, and also enhancing productivity, will be successful niche play. Green chemistry through conventional biotechnology could be a huge niche opportunity. Once niche DNA-based biological play is overtaken by mRNA-based biological play, and that is a successful niche development, starting with vaccines for COVID-19. So niches are developing based on technology that is enhancing the value chain products. So we have to look beyond just industry or value chain definitions and focus more on science, technology, and management so that particular product or service is truly unassailable. The lesson again is that a niche company cannot say that a mainstream company should not and cannot enter this space. It is quite possible for a mainstream company also to enter into the niche space, and if leadership and management and cultural issues are the problem, they may even constitute a separate entity, wholly owned subsidiary, or a division to handle. Why has Tata Motors set up a subsidiary for the intellectual property related to electric vehicles? Because it is a niche now. It is not a mainstream mass market product. However, it has got great potential and great technological sophistication. It therefore became appropriate for Tata Motors to create a new niche subsidiary to carry out and further develop this niche technology and niche product range. That is the concept here. So looking at all of these things, we have to again come back, whether it's a product strategy or a marketing strategy or a corporate strategy. I would say that it is more than all of these things individually or together. It is more a competency than a strategy. BlackBerry had its core competence in high security encrypted communication. Had it brought this to play in the general Android phone in time, it would have made BlackBerry a niche product. However, it did not happen that way because BlackBerry thought its niche was unassailable. And the moment other operating systems and other players began encrypting with high security systems their own communication protocols, then BlackBerry lost its competitive edge and the niche ceased to exist. This and various other examples that were cited in this lecture demonstrate that a sustainable niche strategy requires a series of successive innovative products that are proactively and competitively produced and also are differentiated in the marketplace in terms of their user experience. At some point, even successive product enhancements would need to leapfrog to a totally new configuration. For example, after a series of successive improvements in iPod, iPhone, and iPad, The next wave could be in terms of a multi-purpose handheld artificial intelligence device for a totally new technological and user experience. Who knows, Apple might be working on this kind of extraterritorial project. This sort of evolution and transformation in niche positioning requires complete end-to-end capability in terms of fundamental innovation, nimble product development, lean manufacturing, and aggressive marketing. It is a set of competencies that are fused together as what we popularly see as niche. We have competencies, we also have attributes. A niche strategy should be enduring, and that can only be based on competencies that will deliver sustainable value. It should be comprehensive, compassing, and implied in niche strategy are several other attributes such as the ability to organically develop or globally source the best technologies and components, to project manage the process of concurrent engineering and targeted product launch, to network with various collaborating partners. So ability to innovate and differentiate on a single product dimension with low-cost global supply chain capabilities, high-end manufacturing efficiencies, and broad-spectrum marketing capabilities requires a set of organizational competencies that are industry-leading in each domain. But a niche company doesn't make these things available on a broad spectrum because it is too much of an ideal combination to be offered on a range of mainstream products. This kind of combination of high innovation, low cost, high manufacturing efficiency, and broad spectrum marketing can only be carried out with reference to a particular niche product market space. That's why niche finds it difficult to be mainstream, except for the example of Apple that I have given, where the niche attributes were generously integrated with all the products across the value chain spectrum and across the market canvas. And that's where Apple became the most innovative and differentiated firm, and that's why its market capitalization also is in excess of $3 trillion, something which was unimaginable earlier. An industry would have players following. One of niche players would be the very few who consciously develop the competencies required for a niche strategy as an overall competency or the DNA of the company. Let's look at industry leadership. What constitutes true industry leadership is a question that can have several answers. At a simplistic level, we measure industry leadership through scale, and it is seen as a major reckoner of leadership. However, as demonstrated by the virtual bankruptcy and the governmental bailout of General Motors, which was once a global leader in automobiles, scale without profitability and sustainability and with innovation and productivity has very little meaning. Neither is a classic niche product positioning relevant in today's scenario, as demonstrated by the compulsions on niche players to demonstrate unique capabilities on a continuing basis. If they fail to do so, they will face sale of brands or businesses to full-line companies. Even a niche player like Bose has now a very large lineup of products, but the niche continues to be the purity of sound that Bose is synonymous with. Industry leadership comes with broad spectrum positioning that caters to a full market with as many products and as much cost efficiency as possible, while creating unique niches based on innovation in each product market segment. So a combination of mainstream capability, be it differentiation or cost leadership, but a substream capability with innovation in each product market segment would be very helpful for an industry to become unassailable leader. The objective of industry leadership for a firm is thus predicated upon combining scale, scope, and niche into one business model. Not all companies will be able to do that, which is the reason why Big Pharma tries to encourage startups which develop into niches and then acquire those niches or acquire their products to be able to obtain the touch of niche in their mainstream capabilities. Some firms can drive up in a largely monopolistic manner all the parameters of product performance and hence the user experience by themselves. This industry leadership is illustrated by Intel and Microsoft. Intel is a good example of monopolistic product positioning. but it has been able to dominate the industry with its successive generation of processors. Microsoft similarly has been able to dominate the software industry with its successive releases of operating systems. These are, however, exceptions rather than the rule, and even such firms seek to expand their footprint as expansively as possible. For example, Intel manufacturing processes for all digital applications, and Microsoft extending its Windows operating system from computers to cell phones and tablets as well as convertibles, regardless of price points and manufacturers, and making the operating system compatible with systems and other devices as well. Today, most firms from Sony to Samsung, ABB to Siemens, and Toyota equally effective Toyota development system, also called set-based concurrent engineering at Toyota, create niches. Industry leadership gets acquired through these kinds of innovative business and management processes that are supported by technical competencies. To sum up, niche is a prescription for a firm seeking sustainable industry leadership. It would be combining product or service variety with innovation and excelling over other competitors by providing unique user experiences in each case. A firm could be mainstream with several niches in certain segments of value chain, or those segments of value chains could be independent niche companies providing such niche products and services. Cost competitiveness and differentiation must be fused into an integrated, sustainable niche strategy. The conceptualization and execution of a niche strategy calls for a very special competence on the part of a firm. It is an organizational DNA, it is a leadership DNA. An extremely creative and integrated research, manufacturing, and marketing paradigm is required for successful execution of niche. It must be enhanced by industry-leading capabilities in all supportive functions, and that is the essence of niche as a firm-level competence. Niche is not a strategy or a manufacturing strategy or a marketing strategy. Niche is something of a competency of an organization. Niche is the DNA of such niche players, and it is tough to replicate niche. If only it was a product-based strength, people can replicate. But if it is an organizational competency, as I have outlined, niche is indeed difficult to replicate. Strategists must appreciate niche in this perspective and use niche as a generic competitive strategy that provides sustainability and growth path for the firms. Thank you. We'll meet again in the next week's lectures. Thanks.